Honorable sisters, brothers, and friends, I should use a prepared statement because like I said, I've done so much good in so many fields, and I was forced to be secretive, anonymous, for two reasons. One is we start with the secret of the H-bomb is number one in the U.S. And number two was that Hoover, and I'll get right to the point, J. Edgar Hoover, I found out, was a liar, immoral fella. I'd call him a queer, but I didn't know anything you said. Go back to him. Grand theft artist, certainly of my science and inventions. He injured people. He murdered people, especially those who tried to get him out of that powerful position. He experimented Americans to death. He experimented to death my brother, because about 30 days after I put forward the validity of the H-bomb and insisted that we had to start a Super Manhattan Project at Los Alamos, I did what that Colonel West Point said. If you're going to put forward what you think is best, you put it forward and you emphasize that and say that's the best policy. And that's the way I did it. So now Hoover figured, hey, here's a man that wanted to work for me. And now he's diligently has put where we should meet and how and when and why. He's doing what I should do. Now I have a little party. Some day or one of the honored guests. Well, I got there and I didn't see any girls. So I said, where are the girls? And then one of the hosts said, well, Hoover has this kind of a party. He has a party with boys. What? And he says, yeah. He says, you have your choice of one of those two young fellas over there. What? I just took her and I just stormed out. I don't give a gosh damn about this Hoover. The fellas are queer. And I said, well, we got to get this queer out. On that basis alone, I didn't know whatever you said went back to that. So now I'm at the absolute top, and whoever went against Hoover, you will see, and I can prove, died usually by a violent death, gunshot, supposedly suicide, assassination. You're beginning to see the true facts, and maybe, as I say, you fast forward and read between the lines and fast forward. Absolute true facts. How can you prove it? Well, you put this on a boisterous analyzer, prove. What I'm saying is absolute truth. Take a lie detector test. The closest I got was they had a lie detector, a national program. And I just gave them about my science of who I achieved, and therefore part of what I really am, not the 007. And he said, well, this is great. Then, like 2 or 3 days before, when they're going to send me the ticket to fly to New York, then a program says, well, we can't do it. Why not? Well, it costs them money. I said, I'll pay for my lie detector test. I'll pay for it. If it doesn't come out, don't put it on. If it comes out, and you put it on, I'll pay for it. Well, no, we can't. I found out that secretly this USA was in a pyramid of power, with Hoover at the point of the pyramid. You go in his office, he was a foot higher Everybody had to look up to that criminally insane, immoral Homo Hoover is what I then would call him. And I still didn't realize the power the fellow had. He's more powerful than the Attorney General. You see, the FBI was the investigative department of the Justice Department, but then it got powerful and was able to get director, like separate, but still part of the Justice Department, more powerful than the president. The only person Hoover cared about was who would be president, because the only person that could fire him. But he could blackmail, had blackmailed politicians. I say I should do it from a preset, itemized list chronologically, because then it would, well, at least chronologically, expose the true facts. That was J. Edgar Homo Hoover. He gave the info to kill veterans of World War II because they were demanding on the Washington area for their veterans bonus. They were out of work and needed the money. And Douglas MacArthur went in there and the horseback gang and trampled them and killed some and injured some. That's the beginning of Homo. The actual beginning of Homo Hoover was that he was a bend over for politicians, so they got him to investigate what's called a Teapot Dome scandal. That's an early type Watergate. That's how they got that fellow there. And the veterans he killed. Then there was a representative that says, this Hoover, he would say, questionable Hoover, I'm going to expose him and we got to replace him. His train pulled into Washington, D.C. for him to give the public, speech and so forth. He didn't get off the train, he's found dead. You'll see the coincidences are not coincidences, actual criminally insane Homo Hoover murdered, and absolute true fact. No, I'm not anonymous because I want to be. I didn't become the 007 because I wanted to be. It started out as a half joke, inside joke, and a half true fact. I would always joke around with the ladies, And when I went to cash my check, they would say, let's see, what's your ID? And I'd say 007, and they would say 007. Well, I always was still trying to practice and do everything perfect, especially in science, mathematical physics, do it perfect. So I'd say, well, you girls say 007, but it's O is a letter, it's 007 as I say. Well, now the girls started to tease me. They'd say, 007, and I said, and then I tease them back. I said, oh, you young girl, you're just teasing me, it's 007. And then when they found out that the reason I joked around with them was to try to make the work a little lighter, is that my daughter worked for the same company, but not at that store doing the same type of work. No, they said, hey, see, one of the girls was there and says, hey, that guy joking around with you, he's the old flirt at our store. And my daughter said, old flirt? Oh, that's my father. Oh, so now when I went there and I go to my ID, they say, oh, we know who you are, you're 007. Do you understand? That was the original start. But Hoover would always play inside psychology to have inside, like, part humorous and part true, part humorous, of the power. And so it took off. Well, I went to see the first movie. And when they started out, that here's this middle-aged man shacking up with a girl that looks, the age, looks, and everything in the name of my daughter, I jumped up and said, you criminally, gosh damn, H. And I walked out, and I've never seen another one. I call him 003 and a half. Half-ass hype baloney. Well, they put it in England so that it'd be tough enough here, but here I could parade with a sign, and maybe the media would say, hey, that's the truth, and he'll take a polygraph test and pay for it, with the stipulation that you must print the results. You understand? So they got control of the media. So I'm still anonymous, essentially, which isn't correct by law of God and man and the Constitution, my rights, the Constitution, Bill of Rights, civil rights, absolutely. I've done more good in Moorfield than any in the United States. Now, Abraham Lincoln, I finally enforced to where they use me. I barely survived half a dozen accidents. You see, after that representative that was found dead, they were saying, well, we should replace Hoover. By who? Well, there was Melvin Purvis of FBI doing the best work. And they said, Melvin Purvis, you become FBI. He said, well, okay, you asked me and I will. Hoover got him out of the FBI. He got him out of the FBI. He was found dead. Hoover said he shot himself. And Mrs. Purvis said, you're a liar, Hoover. She wouldn't call him the immoral names I would call him. I'd call Hoover every name in a book. God, Homo Hoover. Criminally insane, murderous, assassin. Do you understand what the hellish Hoover really was? Now, okay, I would say I was batting 1,000. And like Purvis, I'm doing the best work. At least then you should maybe go with what I say first, like that Colonel said. You say what you think is best and you stay by it. And unless they can prove theirs is better. So Hoover didn't like the fact that I was better than he was. That my brother was 6 feet and so popular with the girls. He could dance, play music, sing. Very popular, all-American boy. Hoover experimented him to death. Hoover experimented American men, women, and children. They proved to me, he showed me at least one woman experimented to death. That's the true facts that they won't publicize in this U.S. because it might shake what I've been forced then to survive, and that's what they wanted me to do. I either do that or I would die. As 007 played both sides at the same time. And then they could find out things they wanted to find out that they couldn't. I could go into just about any place, anytime. Because they say this man is even becoming a preacher. They're starting to call him Preacher Doc. Because he says the truth. He says, hey, this is what I've achieved. This is who I really am. This is the truth. You want to kill me? Well, I'll try not to let you kill me, but this is the truth. So I'm welcomed anywhere, by any group, any political stripe or so forth. Why? Hey, I got to keep alive. According to my religion, you're supposed to keep yourself alive. According to my constitutional rights, I have rights. According to the Bill of Rights, I have rights. What's mine is mine still today. My life-giving stimulator from radiation is my original work. That laser beam is my original work. And no matter what they say or do, any patents and time and claims and statute of limitations, no. By the law of God and man and by the Bill of Rights, mine is mine by the Constitution. No state statute of limitations can violate the constitutional rights, you understand? So I need a constitutional attorney that says the law of the land is his work is his, and he must be honored and compensated. But the only thing I have left, it appears, is what they call the court of last resort. The American public saying, hey, we're getting men killed, and this man risked his life, maybe almost singularly, saying you can't lie and falsify reports. Slick Willie Webster with the English. You see, the English were in on experimenting my brother to death. And Xerox, it was Haloid Xerox, like I told him to do it here in the U.S., became Rank Xerox in England, and they got money. You understand? They worked together. Now, falsifying reports, then they admit it. Isn't that correct? Everything I say now through the years has been verified. Look at the men and women we lost in Iraq and those Iraqis because that coward of Vietnam. I volunteered 5 times to go into Vietnam because I figured I could really help. But Hoover wouldn't let me get there because the first thing I say is our trouble is not here in Vietnam. Our trouble is back in Washington. And guess who? Homo Hoover said, this time I win against our enemy in Vietnam. Because in North Korea, he said he won. And I says, hey, don't get them angry. They came in, we pushed them up. They pushed us down, we pushed them back up. We settled in the middle. At best, you can say it's a draw. He says, no, we won. I said, well, then the next time, maybe they won't settle. And they didn't. So now, the first time in history U.S., we lost. You understand? It was inside struggle. Well, this is now 16 minutes. I think I may have to have part 3 because I didn't want that secrecy. I wanted to be a man that I achieve something, become known, get into politics, and say, look, if I'm the best, why not vote for me and I'll lead and do the best? You understand? Thank you.